Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtam Shaktim Tasatputra Parasharam Cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Matasya Sishyam Sri Shankaracharya Matasya Padma Padam cha hastamalakam cha shishyam tam todakam vartikakara manyan asmadgurun santatamanatosmi shruti smriti purananam alayam karunalayam namami bhagavat padam shankaram loka shankaram shankaram shankaracharyam keshavam badarayanam sutrabhasha kritau vande Bhagavantau punah punah samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam namami chinmayam devam sadgurum brahma vidvaram sarva vedanta siddhanta gocharam tamagocharam govindam paramanandam sadgurum pranatosmyaham. In the topic of samadhi, the very word means samyak adhiyate, it is samadhi. Nothing to do with dhi. Dhi is intellect. Here it is rasva, not dhi. Dhi. It comes from adhanam. Dha is to place. Samyak adhanam, samadhanam. Samyak adhiyate samadhi. Adhanam is a verb to place, whereas samadhi is a noun, a state. Like sushuptihi is a sthiti, a state. Jagrat is the state. Swapnam is a state. Similarly, samadhi is a state. A state means a state of being. So what is that in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi? What is that? It is said in the 358 Visa. Upadi yogat swayameva vidyate chaupadhyamo pohe swayameva kevalaha tasmat upadi vilayaya vidwan vaset sada kalpa samadhi nishtaya. Upadehe vilayaya vaset. Upadehe vilayaya. As it happens in our sleep, all our external faculties and internal faculties, body, etc., the world, the objects, we give up. Now, today morning, or today on the other class also, Dakshinamurti, it is said, our nature of the self is aprayatnena sambhavati. To realize ourselves, Is there a prayatna or an effort necessary? What is your opinion? क्या प्रयत्न करना चाहिए मुक्ति के लिए? Tell me. For what effort should you put to realize the self? Right? Then what all the sadhanas will be gone?
That's only for Shuddhi.
Huh?
It is only for Shuddhi.
Chitta Shuddhi. Then what happens? You don't need to put any prayatna at all.
The prayatna is only to remove all the cobwebs of ignorance.
Ignorance. Okay, that is knowledge will take care of that. Then afterwards, what sadhana to be done? Sadhana bhi chodna hai. What prayatna karna chahiye? Samadhi avasthayam kim prayatnam karaniyah? Reddy garu.
Swamiji, in Samadhi, Nididhyasanam, what he said is Vitarya Bhava, Viparyasa Bhava has to be removed. That means will be to stay in Brahmakara Vritti. That is the Samadhi.
Correct.
The staying in Brahmakara Vritti.
Brahmakara vritti pravaha should take place. It is said that the prayatna is chodna. What we think we are, usko chodna hai. It is, therefore it is said, agrahanam, anatma agrahanam. So anatma jo hai usko tyag karna, wahi prayatna hai. See, usually prayatna is what? To do something, to get something, to obtain something, to hold something, to secure something, to keep something safe, right? If I want money, then I have to work for it because I don't have it. But here, जो है मेरे पास, जो है मेरे पास वही नहीं मिलता है. What is already there, I am not able to have it. Then what is the reason for that? What is already there, if it is not available to me, that means I am holding on to something else. Leaving that is the prayatna. The logic or hetu is given as, if you are doing something and getting it, it doesn't stay with you. Yet prayatnat sambhavati na sa anityah. If you are getting something which is by doing an action, it's a result of that very prayatna itself. It is a result of that very effort itself. With effort you get something. When you stop the effort, it will stop also. So the example is, for sleeping, what prayatna, what effort you do? Chodna hai. To give up is what is the... So I want to sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep. When do you sleep actually? Even that thought has to be given up, right? I have to do so many things tomorrow. I have just so many things I have to complete today, but it is incomplete. So I have to postpone tomorrow and I have to do that. If you keep thinking about it, you will never sleep. When do you sleep? You, I, the doer, I want to do this. When I leave that idea that sleep is more important to me than all these thoughts, all these engagement in the mind, if I just let go of that, then sleep, I don't need to do any effort at all. It happens. Why? Swatah siddham. आपके पास ही है. For breathing, what you should need to do? Swatah siddham. It's already there. So here, tasmad upadehi vilayaya. For the sake of giving up the upadis, vidwan vaset. He has to stay. What he has to say? Sada akalpa samadhi nishtaya. With that mind which is not having any thought about any of the upadis. Upadi yogat swayameva vidyate cha upadyapohe swayameva kevalaha. It will go on its own accord. So it is said here, through the many conditioning, a man gets to think, adapt to think of his own self as full of diversity. But by removing these, he gains his own immutable self. It is not that something to be done. Hence the dissolution of this conditioning. The wise man must devote himself to the practice of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa, Kalpana Rahitaha, Vritti Rahita Sthitihi, Karaniyaha. Actually, Gurudev, right? He must try to bring the mind completely and absolutely to silence. Once or twice a day, he should struggle hard to bring the mind into perfect quietude. The rest of the time, even while experiencing the various phenomena of the outer world, he should cultivate the habit of turning his mind into inner quietude. That's what we saw in the last session. Now, Sadi Sakto Naro Yati
Satisatto naro yati
Sadbhavam Ekanishtaya
Sadbhavam yekanishaya
Kitako Brahmaram Dhyayan
Kitako brahmaram dhyayan
Brahmaratvaya Kalpate
Brahmaratvaya kalpate
Sadisakto Naro Yati Sadbhavam Ekanishtaya Kitako Brahmaram Dhyayan Brahmaratvaya Kalpate. Sati Saktaha. Sati means Brahmani. In that truth, Saktaha attached, Naraha person, Yadi Sadbhavam. He goes to that nature of the self. Ekanishtaya, by one-pointed attention. This example is beautifully illustrated. This one is beautifully illustrated. Gurudev's favorite example. Like a pupa becoming a wasp. Kitakaha Brahmaram Dhyayan. How it metamorphoses itself to become that wasp. From a little pupa which is sitting there, how does it become a wasp? What is that which makes it metamorphosize itself to the wasp? Brahmaram Dhyayan Brahmaratvaya Kalpate. By just thinking, the body changes. In today's scientific world only has come to realize that you become what you think, not psychologically, physically also. Physical changes take place by thinking. The mind is so powerful. If you keep meditating upon or thinking about something continuously, the body will develop the required faculty for that. That's why it is important that one should keep the continuous flow of thoughts. As Gurudev writes here, the queen wasp brings the worm-like pupa and keeps it inside the mud nest, the mouth of which it closes, but for a tiny hole, little opening. The wasp sits outside the cage looking into the hole. The pupa can see nothing at all save this tiny opening guarded zealously by this terrible monster. Mother one, there is a little hole. In the mud inside that the pupa is sitting, and there is a little hole, and that near the hole, the mother wasp sitting, watching him. What are you doing? That fellow cannot do anything. When he opens and looks at the hole, it's the mother sitting there. It tries to come out. See, whenever the pupa's attention is diverted, it tries to get away, the wasp stings it. If ever you have been stung by a wasp, you will know it. Gurudev writes it. You will be rolling in pain. This entire 250 pounds of you will be rolling in pain. If the poison of one sting disturbs the peace and tranquility of a man 6 feet tall with a chest 38 inches, you can understand the agony of the little pupa. Thus, tormented by the pain, it continuously meditates upon the terrible wasp. This meditation is single pointed. Due to this pain driven meditation, the pupa either dies inside the cage if it is weakling, or comes out transformed as a wasp. When the pupa metamorphoses to become a wasp, it develops the capacity to break the very mouth of the nest and emerge out all by itself. So, Swamiji, Brahman is such a terrible monster. You have to remember constantly. If I come out, he will sting me. Not like that. Brahma is Ananda Swarupa. So if you remember that Aham Ananda Swarupaha, na Anyaha. I am not anything else but nothing but the very abode of bliss. Remembering that itself is sufficient. Just as every pupa is a potential wasp, so too every man is potentially divine. But the great deal of discipline and sadhana has to put in before the efforts to bear the fruits of the spiritual maturity. Every pupa does not become a wasp, yet it is capable of. It has the capacity to become that. The human pupa molds into divine personality by virtue of being essentially divine and by its constant single-pointed meditation upon the divine. When the pupa stops being pupa, it becomes wasp. When a man stops being a jiva, he becomes supreme. It's a simple, straightforward, but the problem is our mind is not able to one-pointedly seek that and that alone. That is the reason why here it is said, तत्र दृष्टान्तः कीटकः अन्यः कीटः एकनिष्ठया भ्रमरं ध्यायन् भ्रमरत्वाय भ्रमर भिन्नोऽपि कल्पते समर्थः भवति किं पुनः प्रकृते ब्रह्म एव सञ्जीवः आनन्द आरोपित अज्ञान आरोपित अब्रह्मभावः सदापि ब्रह्मध्यानात् ब्रह्मैव भवति इति भावः. Because of the inability to overcome that ajnana, and that must be replaced by aham brahma iti dhyanam continuously. Like that pupa becomes the wasp, a jiva becomes Ishvaraha or Brahman. Very clearly, ekagra chintanena. That means the flow of thought must be continuous towards that. Continuing in the next verse says, Kriyantara sakti mapasya kitakaha dhyayan yatalim halibhavamruchati tataiva yogi paramatma tattvam Dhyatva samayati tateika nishtaya. Kriyantara sakti mapasya kitakaha Dhyayantayatalim halibhavam richati Tataiva yogi paramatma tattvam Dhyatva samayati sateika nishtaya. Kriya antara asakti apasya. Doing any other, nothing else other than that. Kriya antara asaktim. No more interest to do anything else. Apasya kitakaha yata alim dhyayan. As it meditates only on that wasp, halibhavam richati. It becomes the wasp only and nothing else. Tata eva, in the same way, yogi, a seeker, paramatma tattvam dhyatva, thinking only about the supreme nature, samyak ayadi, he reaches tat ekanishtaya by that one pointed attention. Again, the same point only is re-emphasized here, importance of ekagrata chintanam, continuous thinking. So here it is said, tatra स्वम आत्मानं हिनस्ति इति प्रमादेव चिन्तयित्वा अलिभावं प्रमरभावं स्वयमपि प्रमरत्वं ऋच्छति प्राप्नोति तत्र पूर्वादारम्भ भेद एव पद पश्चादपि अयं भ्रमरः भवति न तु ध्यायतः भ्रमर अभेदः अत्र भेदस्य अज्ञानिकत्वात् अभेदज्ञानजनित साक्षात्कारेण अज्ञाननष्टे भेदप्रसक्तेः भेदप्रसक्तेः एव अभावात् तदा एव कीटकवत् एकनिष्ठया असक्ततया परमात्मतत्त्वं ध्यात्वा तदेव यादात्म्यं समायाति. Now, the difference between this example is pupa is not originally wasp. Pupa is pupa. By meditating upon the wasp, the mother wasp, which is sitting outside and constantly stinking it, it transforms itself to become the wasp, right? In the example. In the case of a jiva, it's not the case. What? He is originally Brahman only. So the difference in the example is given. In the example, the pupa becomes a wasp. Originally it was not the wasp, but it can become. In the case of a jiva, he begins with misunderstanding. I am jiva, aham jiva iti. Originally he is Brahman only. It is not that jiva becomes Brahman, jiva realizes that Brahman. Unlike the pupa becomes the wasp, not it is originally started with wasp. Whereas jiva starting itself, he knows or is instructed by the Vedanta Shravanam, you are Brahman, but you are misunderstanding yourself to be something else. So the misunderstanding has to go, then what is already is what it is. So the example is to be taken for only that continuous meditation. Not one-to-one. There is no one-to-one relationship between the example and the exemplified. So here, nashta ajnaniga bedaha abhivyakta swata tasva tattvika swarupaha bhavati iti bhava. It becomes, the jiva realizes oneself even before the meditating upon Brahman is Brahman only. It is like when I wake up from the sleep, I am not become the waker, I have realized my wakerhood. Is not? I went to the state of sleep and came out of it. Originally who I was? Waker only. In between there was a swapna or sushupti, whatever it is. In that state, I was not aware of myself and I misunderstood myself with somebody else. Upon waking up, I realized, oh, the one who went to sleep is the same one who was woken up. Meaning, there is no difference between before going to sleep, after going to sleep, after coming out of sleep also. In the condition of being at sleep or in the condition of being in the state of dream, I have imagined myself to be somebody else. That's why you get a relief, right? After waking up from the dream. Oh, thank God, it's only a dream. I always dread, whenever I get a dream that I'm in examination hall where I'm writing test, my God, I really get into a lot of tension. When I wake up, thank God I'm a Swami, no more exam for me. No more writing exam and pass some degrees. In the same way, a jiva who is originally Brahman, misunderstanding oneself to be a jiva, when he wakes up, he gets so relaxed. Thank God, oh Lord. I thought I am the suffering soul. Samsari, now I am not at all samsari fellow. I am not at all sorry about anything. So, one becomes so relieved, relaxed. Shantaha. So, dhyanena anyasya api anyabhave sambhavati. If by meditation what one is not, one can gain it. In the case of the wasp, I mean, the pupa becoming a wasp, because of continuous thinking, it can become something else. Even though, so by the meditation, it can do sudhyanena, sorry, swadhyanena swaswarupa praptah kaha pratyuha iti matre tatra tatra brahmara kitanyaya udaharanam iti mantavyam. So this is called brahmara kita nyaya. Nyaya means what do you call that in English? A saying. No, not saying.
No,
Nyaya
it's the method of instruction.
Metaphor.
Method.
Oh, no.
A method. It is a method of
They
explaining.
will say,
Yeah,
in English, there's a phrase, what is the usage? A method or usage.
yeah.
So this usage is used according to him, according to here. He says this Brahmarakida Nyaya is used only to show by constant thinking you can change. In the case of the pupa becoming a wasp, pupa was not the wasp before, it becomes a wasp. Whereas in the case of a jiva, starting with this Brahman only, by meditating, he comes to realize its Brahmanhood. That's the difference. But the usage of this Brahmanyaya is only to show constant attention should be given. That is what is to be emphasized here. Ativa Sukshmam Paramatma Tattvam
अतीव सूक्ष्मं परमात्मतत्त्वं
Nastula Drishtya Pradipattumarhati
न स्थूलदृष्ट्या प्रतिपत्तुमर्हति
Samadhinatyanta Susukshma Vritya
समाधिनात्यन्तसुसूक्ष्मवृत्त्या
ज्ञातव्यमार्यैरतिशुद्ध बुद्धिभिः
ज्ञातव्यमार्यैरतिशुद्धबुद्धिभिः
अतीव सूक्ष्मं परमात्मतत्त्वं न स्थूलदृष्ट्या प्रतिपत्तुमर्हति समाधिनात्यन्तसुसूक्ष्मवृत्त्या ज्ञातव्यमार्यैरतिशुद्धबुद्धिभिः. Why it is important for us to meditate at all if you are already that? Some people have an intellectual idea, Brahmasmi. उसको ध्यान करने का क्या जरूरत है? मैं मालूम है, मैं ब्रह्म हूँ. I am Brahman, I already know. You know, some people have this funny idea. I am Brahman, I don't know about others. If you are Brahman, unfortunately, everybody is Brahman only. Don't say I am Brahman, not others. So you find no intellectually, I'm Brahman. What is there for to meditate? मुझे मालूम है. If somebody says, are you human? Yes. Meditate. Why should I meditate? I know I'm Brahman. I know I'm human. Do you need to meditate every day sitting there? Aham. I am human. I am human. I am human. Should you? Are you intellectually convinced that you're human? Okay, so first question. Are you intellectually convinced that you're human? Yes? Second question. Do you behave like a human? Yes or no? So will you claim yourself to human only when you are in the presence of monkeys and donkeys? So you see the difference when I go to the zoo. Yeah? Thank God I'm not there. Maybe they would have put me on the other side. So when do you actually behave as a human? Tell me. Always? No? Very firmly he says no. You should ask this question. What is the meaning of behaving like a human? Right? What do you call it as being a human then? Just to become your two-legged one, it does not mean you are a human. intelligently engaging in the world, not like animalistically, instinctly, intelligently, right? If you are handling situation, intelligently handle the situation, not reactively, not instinctively. I have to think through that. That's why, so, okay, first question is, are you human? Yes. Do you have to meditate on being human? No need. How do you behave like human? Some people say, sometimes, not all the time. Now, let me put the same thing. Do you know intellectually that you are Brahman? Yes. Do you behave as a Brahman? Then, what do you mean by behaving as a Brahman? Do you really practice that you are Brahman? See, we lack that part because we do not know at the present moment what is to be behaving or being as a Brahman. What is it? Ativa Sukshmam. Being, it is very subtle. What? Paramatma Tattvam. Being that Paramatma Tattva, supreme nature of yours, being very subtle, na sthula drishtya pratipattum arhati. By mere gross perception, it is not available for you to know it. Not that you are away from it, but still you don't know it. Na sthula drishtya, by mere gross perception, na pratipattum arhati. Therefore, samadhi. Samadhihi, samadhina atyanta sushukshmat vritya. Only when we engage in the state of in the practice of samadhi, when the mind has become absolutely still, no more thought disturbances or ripples anymore happening, you get a glimpse of who is being Brahman, what is being Brahman. That's what it says. Jnatavyam. When sukshma vritya samadhina jnatavyam aryaihi, by the people who have purified the mind. Atishuddha buddhibihi, with pure mind. So as Gurudev writes here, if you go to the pond, you may see a lotus. But the lotus reveals its subtle beauty only to a poet. If you go to a lake, you may probably see a lake. But lotus, if you see, that it has its beauty, it has a special charm, and an unearthly attractiveness to it. Unless you too can feel like a poet, you will not be able to appreciate the subtle vision of the lotus in the pond. Or even an artist. When we also see the same thing, and he also sees, but he sees the beauty of the color, the shades of it, and how beautifully it is all formed, the petals. So he has a particular vision of looking at it, captures in his mind, and reproduces in his canvas, right? You also see it. Nowadays, whenever you go there, you take a picture, and then go home. And I will see going home, and I will see in my own big screen, I will see it. Now you see it. So here, the Atman is subtler than the subtlest thought possibility in the intellect, because it transcends the intellect itself. Hence, the gross instruments of knowledge, one cannot apprehend it. Then what is the instrument in those in whose focal length, the subtle truth is brought for our recognition and experience. When the thoughts have become subtle, to the in the hushed moments of deep meditation, the mind is tuned up for the higher transcendental experience. So in the samadhi practice or the practice of deep meditation, one is not gaining anything other than the ability of the intellect to become very subtle, to recognize the quiet, calm, everlasting presence of Brahman in oneself. It's not away from oneself. Just like I always give this example, right? You want to sleep now? Can you?
No.
No? Why not? Can you sleep?
Not sleeping.
You're not sleeping?
Not
You're not sleeping, I know, but can you sleep?
I'm not sleeping.
You can. The sleep is not somewhere in the bed, it's available in your home. Where is the sleep?
Right here.
Inside only. When does it come to, when do you actually sleep? Only when you get ready for it. Bed and other things are only external support. Some people, when they're tired, they don't need a bed. Especially when you travel from East Coast to the West Coast or from India to Amiji, you talk. I am in a different world. Jadalogam. I'm going to Jadalogam, called jet lag. So the sleep, the state of sleep, as much as it's already there in me, and when I get prepared, I can go into it. Similarly, samadhi is also already in me. If I'm ready, I can go there. This getting ready is what is called developing the sukshma drishti. And only in the practice of meditation, when a person is able to bring the minimum thoughts and coming to zero. Gurudev used to say, last thoughted. New thought has not yet come. In that absence of the thoughts where the last thought is already over, the new thought has not yet arisen, or has not come. In that hush moment of meditation, one gets that intensive presence of Brahman. The intellect which has stopped wandering into the fields of sense gratification, which is not involved in the mesh of sense objects around, and which is ready, steady in its contemplation, such an intellect is capable of understanding the great Brahman. So that is why it is ativa sukshmam jnanamutpatyate pumsam kshayat papasya karmanah. Pumsam jnanam utpatyate kshayat, by the elimination of papa karmana. And it is also said, drishyate tvagraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi jnana prasadena vishuddha sattva tadastutam pashyate nishkalam dhyayamanah. Ityaji vachanananusarena nirmala antakarnehi aryaha shruti smriti yukta marga gaihi samadhina atyanta sukshmaya prapancha avishayakataya akanda akaraya vrittihi taya jnatavyam vishikartavyam. In other words, see, all this study, etc., are to bring this quietude of the mind. One can bring the quietude by force also. By pranayama, one can do that. By yoga, marga, one can do that. Various other methods also can make the mind quiet, but they are temporary. Once you bring the mind to quietude by any external means other than knowledge, it cannot remain too long. Because vasanas are still there. The distractions caused by the vasanas are suspended, like in sleep. After waking up, it will come back. Whereas once the knowledge has led you to that point, then having understood the false nature of the mind, having understood that the vasanas are there only for you to choose from and not you are compelled, then one will know that I cannot be disturbed by even if the vasanas come to play with me. So therefore, in another example he gives, sadrishtantam mano nirmalye dhyanam karanam aha. How that purity of the mind and quietude will lead to this experience, as is given in the next verse. Yata suvarnam pudapaka shodhitam
यथा सुवर्णं पुटपाकशोभितम्
त्यक्त्वा मलं स्वात्मगुणं समृच्छति
त्यक्त्वा मलं स्वात्मगुणं समृच्छति
तथा मनः सत्त्वरजस्तमो मलम्
तथा मनः सत्त्वरजस्तमोमलम्
ध्यानेन सन्त्यज्य समेति तत्त्वम्
ध्यानेन सन्त्यज्य समेति तत्त्वम्
यथा सुवर्णं पुटपाकशोधितं त्यक्त्वा मलं स्वात्मगुणं समृच्छति तथा मनः सत्त्वरजस्तमो मलं ध्यानेन सन्त्यज्य समेति तत्त्वम् यथा just as suvarnam gold putapakena shodhitam, it is being made to become pure and become bright when by the putapaka, putting into the fire. What happens in that state? Malam tyaktva, removing all the dirt, swatma gunam samrichati, it obtains its own true nature, which is bright and so shining and beautiful. Tata, in the same way, manaha, mind, sattva rajas tamomalam dhyanena tantajya. The three qualities which are keeping us busy in this world, rajas and tamas, also sattva. Rajaha karmani pravrittihi. Rajas is that which makes us get into action. Tamaha ajnanam moha sushuptihi, making us sleepy, lazy, indulging. Sattva, on the other hand, is jnana pravritti. It is looking for knowledge. It is looking for happiness. See, happiness is of three kinds. One, in sleep, in laziness, in indulgence, in indolence, or in achieving things. Acquiring of wealth, the name, power, position, happiness. The third one is in gaining knowledge. Right? If I know something, and that very knowing itself makes me happy. I know what that is. Right? So if, let us say, if I know a particular, let's say music I know, and the nuances of the music, if I'm in a hall where, or in a place where the music is going on, some artist is singing, I can enjoy that singing because I know what it is. Whether anybody else knows or, but I can enjoy because I know what kind of a way he uses the ragas, how he beautifully blends each other. Wow, the way. So I enjoy. Why? Jnanam. I'm not doing anything. Na karmana, jnanena eva. Jnanat sukam, then karmana sukam, sushuptya sukam. So in all the three ways I can enjoy. But all the three are binding only. Bhagavan Krishna very clearly says, all of them will bind you. Tamas definitely will bind you. Rajas will bind you. Sattva also will bind you. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati. Rajakarmani bharata. Pramadamoho tamasaha. Alasya. Ajnana. This is nature of tamas. Now here what he says, even sattva is a malam. Sattva is also, compared to Brahman, is impurity. Swamiji, I understand rajas and tamas are impurity, but sattva also? Yes. So here, sattva cannot remain in its pure nature, so it sublimates to merge with the infinite. When sattva, rajas, tamas are removed from the mind, it dissolves into the vision of reality. Even sattva is some kind of impurity, and when it starts to purify itself, it disappears. So the example of this gold that is given, only to elucidate this point, highlight this point, sorry. So to highlight this point that the pure gold is obtained only when all the dirt is removed. Suvarnam putapaga shodhitam swaguna tirodhayaka malam mala apanayartham kriyamana paka vishesha pute nikshipya raktamrudadi samyogena kriyamana agni sanyoga putapaka. Putapaka means putting into the fire only to remove the dirt completely. Tena shodhitam, by which purified, vyojita malam, yata malam tyaktva swatmagunam bhaswaratvadikam pramurchati. The bright and brilliance of the gold is obtained only when the covering dirt is removed. In the same way, manaha antakaranam sattva-raja samomalam yadyapi sattvasya rajasa tamasa va amishritasya malatvam durgatam tasmat sattvam avashtabhya swadhyasa apanayam kuru iti uktatvat. So, tasmat sattvam avashtabhya swadhyaya swadhyasa apanayam kurityatva. Nirdvandvo nityasattvasto vava iti Gita upadeshacha. Now, we know there are two important or two characteristics of the Maya. Thirokaranam, Vikshepakaranam, or what is known as covering and projection, right? This is two. Covering is in tamas, projection is in rajas. Now tell me, in sleep, in tamo avastha, there is no disturbance. Why? It's only covering that is taken place. There is no vikshepa, there is no rajas. But that tamas, what it creates as joy, should not be misunderstood. Chalo, in that tamo bhutaha aham anandam anubhavami. That ananda is not caused by Brahman, it is Maya causing it. So Maya kridanandam it is. It appears to be Brahman's, but it's not. Not knowing also can make you happy. Right? So that is why when you go to a restaurant, you should not go to the kitchen. See, at home when your wife or somebody cooking, what are you doing? Cooking. Why have you put all the vegetables on this? You put it there, it's all dirty. She will say, you go to the restaurant, you will not eat one single spoon of it. I am trying to make it as clean as possible. So you want to sell it, go to the kitchen first. Very tasty, beautifully decorated with flowers and all, with all that spices. That is called tamosukam. You don't know. Even though you are enjoying, but that is not out of knowledge, out of ignorance. So, avarana sukam. Then vikshepa. Vikshepa is projection of the mind when it's running here, there. All right. Now, this, if you understand, avarana and vikshepa are the Maya's work. Viveka is also Maya's work. So, what are you trying to do in sattva? Sattva, you are trying to understand, classify, discriminate. To some extent, Maya helps you there. Until you start inquiring into Brahman, all other possible discriminative activities are all allowed. But you turn around and say, can I understand Brahman? Then even that sattva, so-called sattva, helped you so far as to end. So here, sattva-mavi malam. So to come out of rajas and tamas, use sattva. But having come to sattva, don't hold on to it. That's why it is said, Do not dhyayena santyajya tattvam brahmatvam samayiti brahmanaha nirgunatvat. Why? Because Brahma is nirgunaha. Even sattva is not allowed there. At the entry point of Brahman's abode, there will be an entry point check. Do you have sattva? Yes, not allowed. Go and declare it. Get rid of sattva and come back. Even sattva is considered as an impediment in the abode of Brahman. Why? Brahmanaha nirgunatvat sattva guna sattve tattva prapte asambhavat. Tattva prapti asambhava. You cannot get. So even sattva can create thoughts. Even that thought is will not allow you to Brahmatva. Why it is said otherwise nirvikalpa? Savikalpa is where sattva is present. I'm meditating. That meditator, meditating upon Brahman, meditation is going on. The Triputi is there. The doer, the meditator is there, meditated is there, meditating is there. This is sattva. Up to that point is what? That is avikalpa. But then next point is even that has to end. Then only. Therefore, satvikya akanda akara vritterapi moola ajnana banjikaya vilayena adhishtanamatra avasheshatvam bhavati iti. The meditator must end in meditated. Then, even the sattva which belongs to the meditator must end. What remains is the meditated. Brahman alone remains. So that is why he says, adhishtana matra avasheshatvam bhavati iti bhavaha. So, continuing here. Nirantarabhyasa vashattatittam
Nirantarabhyasa vashattatittam
pakvam mano brahmani liyate yada
Pakvam mano brahmani liyate yada
tada samadhihi savikalpa varjitah
Tada samadhihi savikalpa varjitah
swatodvayanandarasanubhavakah
Sarvodvayanandarasanubhavakah
nirantarabhyasa vashattatittam pakvam mano brahmani liyate yata tada samadhi savikalpa varjitah savatodvayananda rasanubhavakah. Nirantara abhyasa vashat. Nirantara, without any difference or gap, abhyasa vashat, practice, due to that practice, taditham. This is what it is. Taditham means as it is. Pakvam manaha brahmani liyate. A mature mind merges into that Brahman. Yada tada samadhihi. Savikalpa varjitaha, with no other thought in the mind. Swataha advayanandarasanu bhavakaha, becomes the enjoyer of advaya anandam, the non-dual bliss. When a mature mind is exposed to meditation for a long period of time, it becomes fit for total dissolution in Brahman. When the meditation becomes deeper, the mind leaves its negative tendencies and all its confusions and doubts, they are eliminated. So even that the taste in the sattva also there is, as I said, ananda is there. Then one becomes attached to that taste also. It is like some of the upasakas or those who are doing puja for the Lord, etc. They are not doing anything wrong. They are not disturbing anybody. but they are attached to that very act of worship. No doubt it is much nobler than all other things, because they are getting connected to the Lord, doing that puja, upasana, chanting mantras and prasadans, and then 16 steps, all that. But then, even though it's a very pure act, mind has become pure, very connected to the Lord. But still, there's no freedom because there is thought process still there. That is called rasaswad. Even meditator enjoys the state of meditation. It is rasaswad. It is also considered as a kind of a connection or attachment to a particular thought experience. So therefore, here it is said, Ittam nirandara abhyasavashat pakvam viparida bhavanadi dosha shunyam manaha yada brahmani liyate nirvrittikam brahma matra vishesham bhavati tada swatah aprayatnena, without any effort, advayananda rasanubhavaka advayaha sayeva rasaha raso vai saha iti shrutehe. That is why it is said, raso vai saha, it is of the nature of pure bliss. Otherwise, even sattva can create certain kind of rasam or some kind of experience, but one should not get caught up in that also. There is a caution given by the teacher here, vikalpavarjitaha. So, here, samadhinanena samastvasana
Samadhinanena samastvasana
grantervinasho kila karmanashanaha
Grantirvinasho kila karmanashah
antarbahi sarvata eva sarvada
Antarbahis sarvata eva sarvada
swarupa vispurtirayatna swarupa vispurtirayatna tasyat
Swarupa vispurita satya
samadhinanena samastvasana grantervinashe kilat dashaha antarbahi sarvata eva sarvada swarupa vispurtirayatna tasyat. Swarupa vispurtihi ayatnatah. Without any effort, one comes to have the real nature there. Anena samadhina, by this practice of nirvikalpa samadhi, samasta vasana grantehe vinashaha. The knots of the heart caused by the vasanas. Now one will wonder, what is this knot we are talking about? Hridaya granthi, knots of the heart. Gurudev used to say, there is invisible cord between you and the world. What is invisible cord? When you look at the box of Rasagulla, how it pulls you, that is called invisible cord. Is it a visible rope between you and that Rasagulla? No. Or vada? But is it not taking you by the collar, pulling you towards that? And your hand naturally extends to go for the third time. The two, what is called? Amavada. Fully fried. Why is it so? That is called Granthi. The cords of the heart. These cords of the heart caused by vasanas. Grantehe vinashaha akila karmanashaha. When that cords are removed, then all actions will come to an end. Samasta vasana grantehe vinashaha. At that time, antarbahi sarvata eva sarvada. Within and without, outside and inside, everywhere, swarupa vismurtihi, one's own completeness of the self, Then aprayatna sasyat, effortlessly. Samadhi cannot be achieved by digging hole in the earth. Gurudev very clear. And going under that. Some people say, oh, I'm going into Samadhi. Dig that earth and then go and sit there and close yourself. Whenever and wherever you are trying to quieten your mind, you are in the practice of Samadhi. Detaching the mind from the disturbances within and without and directing it to rest in Brahman is Samadhi. You have to underline that point. When Samadhi is practiced, all bondages created by the vasanas are destroyed. It is not a physical, Samadhi is not some solitude where you go into physically, but the mind remain in solitude in the midst of all the objects. That is Samadhi. So, we'll see more of it in the next class. So, 364. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhat Bhavet. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.